Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan, Roth the Motor City Madmouth, along with my partners Mel Farr and Rick Curti. Glad to have you guys on this special memorial edition of the Big Show.
Well, thank you for having us.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, let's talk about some NFL action, even though it's really a NASCAR weekend, but the later show will take care of that. But we know that football, pro and college, is making some news. And one of the most interesting storylines of the day comes from the NFL, where they've conditionally reinstated Aldon Smith of the Dallas Cowboys. Rick Curti, you like to rant. Is there a way to rant on this one?
Yeah, why is this clown back? I mean, my God, how many chances are some of these NFL players going to get? I mean, you have Josh Gordon, who's had, 8, 9 tries. Aldon Smith, this is like his 5th or 6th. And then it always ends the same. They do something incredibly stupid. They get suspended for a year, and then all of a sudden they get reinstated again. So, I mean, what is up with the NFL giving some of these players 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chances of doing something violent, drug offenses, having guns carrying a gun through an airport, stuff like this. And then you have Colin Kaepernick. I don't agree with him, but I mean, all he did was do a peaceful protest, and he's pretty much blackballed from the NFL. So I don't understand why the NFL allows this, and then they want to know why they have such a bad they leave a bad taste in people's mouth reinstating criminals.
What about you, Mel?
Well, I mean, it's just the NFL's double standard. I mean, he talked about it. Rick talked about it a little bit with Colin Kaepernick, and as far as he's an outstanding citizen. Whether you agree with him or not, the guy deserves to be able to play in the National Football League. Deserves the opportunity to be able to continue his career and make a living in the National Football League. Now, Aldon Smith, he's had quite a few chances, and the owners, they're the ones that are really behind changing the penalty for marijuana uses, because otherwise the guys would be suspended all the time, especially with some states now allowing people to use marijuana. There's a lot of players in the league that use it for therapeutic reasons. I know Calvin Johnson said he used it every week while he was playing in the NFL for therapeutic reasons. But again, this guy is 30 years old. He hasn't played in a long time, and it goes back to when you're a person like that who had some success in the league, was a high draft pick in the league, it takes a long time to prove that you can't play. And, as opposed to a guy who's trying to make his way into the league, it takes a long time to prove that you can play. And they only give you one shot, where Aldon Smith, he's on his, I don't know what chance he's on right now, 5th, 6th opportunity. I'm happy for the player. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for the player, but I do think it sends a bad message to young people.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jerry Jones is the owner, and he hasn't been shy of bringing on problem children. All you need to do is go to Greg Hardy, who, by the way, is, I believe he's in the UFC. So you're right, Jerry Jones doesn't mind giving somebody a chance, and if he feels that there's talent, then, I guess he's worth a risk. I mean, obviously Terrell Owens was there, but to me, he never crossed any line to any criminals, but when it comes to going out there and having personalities and whatnot, Jerry's trying to win any way he can. If he has to go that extreme, Greg Hardy, Aldon Smith, who knows next? But you're right. It depends on the owners.
He's been doing this. He's been reaching like this. He's done it when he brings in certain quarterbacks. When he got the quarterback from Michigan that was started in front of Brady and brought that guy in that decided to play baseball. He's supposed to be third baseman for the Yankees. And he drafted that guy, and that didn't work out. He's always trying. I mean, I'll give him credit for that. He does take chances, and he is trying to win. That's more than I can say about our home team. I will give him that much, that he is at least trying to win versus what we do up here in Detroit.
Yeah, the guy you're referring to, by the way, Mel, is Drew Henson. So right. So there you go. So all right, that's our take on Aldon Smith. If you guys couldn't get the number, because nobody really knows what the over-under is anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. So with that said, from a guy who's had a lot of chances to a guy that should get a chance, and he hasn't been able to do it with his first 2 teams. Now I'm referring to the Miami Dolphins. They're in no hurry to trade Josh Rosen, despite the fact that there's a lot of interest in Josh. So I feel that Josh Rosen has been given a bad hand. I really do. Mel, whether we've talked about it, that he should get an opportunity. And I think the longer the Miami Dolphins hold on to him, perhaps they're probably holding out for a bigger asking price. So with that said, Mel, we're going to let you lead off on this one.
I was never high on Josh Rosen. I'm a UCLA alum, and I followed his career from his freshman year on. And I was never really high. I never saw what everybody else saw in Josh Rosen. I just didn't see that fire in him. I didn't see that in him, that leadership in him. And maybe he might have all the other. He might have a good arm. To me, I couldn't really see that he had a big arm on TV watching him. But he must have had some other things, some physical attributes that obviously the NFL liked that enabled him to be a number 1 draft pick. I hope he does get a legitimate opportunity. I mean, I don't know. I can't say whether he got a legitimate opportunity. He's in. They watch him in practice every day. They watch him in practice in Arizona. They watch him in practice down there in Miami. He did get opportunities to play in both places. I just think that sometimes he missed, and unfortunately, this might be one of those opportunities where Arizona missed. And obviously, Miami took a chance on him. They gave up, I think it was a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick for him, whatever it may have been.
Right.
And their asking price might be a little bit high for him. They might want 4th round compensation. Teams might only want to give a 5th or 6th round, 7th round compensation. I don't know. But I don't see Josh Rosen staying in Miami. He will probably end up being somewhere else because it doesn't cost him anything to get rid of him. Arizona's paid all the freight on him. So it doesn't cost Miami any money to bring him into camp, have another arm, but I don't see him making that roster.
Well, don't lose sight of the fact that Jake Rudock is also on that roster for former Michigan Wolverine. I think at some point, Jake Rudock is going to catch on as a backup. And the longer Jake stays in the league, the better chance he does stand to hang on. So, Rick, what are your thoughts about Josh Rosen, the UCLA product?
Yeah, this guy's like the most unluckiest guy getting drafted. I mean, you go number 10 to the Cardinals. And, the Cardinals pretty much don't know what they're doing. They fired their head coach after 1 season, and then they get Kyler Murray. So they wasted a first-round draft pick for no reason. He goes to Miami. Miami don't really want him, and pretty much it seems like nobody else wants him. I probably not even a 5th or 6th round pick anybody will give up to get Josh Rosen. So he's been given a bad hand. I agree with you, Scott. I like Josh Rosen. He could have been one of those electrifying players, but unfortunately he's gone to 2 teams that pretty much don't want him. They keep getting quarterbacks and where he ends up, I have no idea. I thought New England would be a good fit. Just New England likes to get players for cheap, like to get players that a lot of organizations have given up on, sort of like a Wes Welker, and then they become superstars. And I thought that'd be a great opportunity there. Still could possibly happen. I have no idea, but he definitely will be in Miami, and where he goes, it's either somewhere else or he'll be out of the league, and that's unfortunate. So I just think he should be given a fair chance, and the 2 organizations, he never did.
Well, Miami's in no hurry to trade him. That means that there is interest. I think the only thing that really gets to turn around, Mel, is if Josh Rosen gets the right type of coach. It's going to take the right type of coach. Then, yeah, I definitely believe in my mind there's a future for him, and, yeah, I'll go along with you there, Rick. If anybody can be classified as unlucky, to this point, Josh Rosen is indeed unlucky. So with that said, Rick, you alluded to it before. Now we'll talk about your favorite person, Josh Gordon, who's hoping for reinstatement by training camp. Rick, you lead off with this one.
This guy is another clown who's gotten 6, 7, 8 chances. The guy just has a problem with drugs, and he just can't give it up. And it's unfortunate. He's a great talent, but he can't play because he can't get himself straightened out, can't get himself clean. And like I said about Colin Kaepernick, I don't agree with Colin Kaepernick's stance. I was offended like a lot of people, but at the same time, he should be in the NFL. My goodness, the man just did a peaceful protest, and all of a sudden he's blackballed from the league, and you have people like Alden Smith, Greg Hardy, Josh Gordon, who get 6, 7, 8. I'm running out of thinkers to see how many opportunities Josh Gordon will get, and somebody will get him because they'll look at him and say, well, he's an electrifying player. Well, he hadn't played in 3 years, or so he just can't stay clean. He went to New England, where they're probably one of the most strictest teams ever, and even he couldn't. It just didn't work out. So I don't understand why people keep getting Josh Gordon. To me, he's just drama. You're never going to use him. And to me, I mean, if there's somebody who shouldn't be, who's been given so many chances, it's him. And unfortunately, I mean, he just can't get himself together. So I don't get it.
All right, Mel.
Let me say this here about Colin Kaepernick first and foremost. I mean,
Sure.
A lot of people have made it about something that it was not about. It was never about the flag, and that's the thing that we have to understand. It was never about the flag. And you look at what's going on in society right now. You look at what's going on right here in my home state of Georgia right now. You still have these injustices going on with people, with people of color. So somebody had to bring it to attention. Unfortunately, Colin was the person that decided to bring it to the forefront, and people tried to make it something other than really what it really was. And that's the only reason why Colin Kaepernick is out of the league, is because people are saying that he disrespected the flag. He never disrespected the flag. That's not what he did. And that's a whole other issue that I can get into, but I'll get back on the subject of Josh Gordon. I'm more concerned about Josh Gordon, the person, than I am the player. The player, first of all, I didn't see the same electricity in Josh Gordon that he had in Cleveland. I think he's lost a step or two from being away from football from as long as he had been. But I'm more concerned about him as a person than the player. And I really would hope, before he gets reinstated, that they really figure out what's going on with Josh Gordon. So, because football is just going to make up a small portion of his life. He's got to live the rest of his life, and he's got to be more than a football player. If all he identifies himself as being a football player, then what is he going to do once his playing days are over? Once he cannot play anymore, once he's lost 4 or 5 steps, I think he's lost a step or two, but once he's lost 4 or 5 steps, he's up at an age, 35, 36, 37 years old. What is he going to do? I'm more concerned about him being a productive citizen at this point, because he has had numerous opportunities. And playing in the National Football League, it's a privilege. It's not a rite of passage. It's a privilege. And you have to look at it as such. And I think he took advantage of the opportunity, or he didn't take advantage of his opportunity while he was in the league. And I really wouldn't want to see him go back into the league unless they got Josh Gordon straightened out at the person, straightened out. If they're just going to, say because, hey, we've loosened up the penalties for marijuana usage, we'll go ahead and get Josh Gordon back in here, then they're just exploiting these players. They're just exploiting him. And once he's done, they're going to throw him on the scrap heap, and they're going to keep on moving. The NFL is going to keep on moving. But what's going to happen to Josh Gordon?
Good point. Well, not only that, he has to face Roger Goodell, too. And Roger's got come to the grips that, hey, Josh, I've only given you more lives than Moore's had. You know what I mean? At some point or another, either you want to play in this league, you're committed, or you got to get straightened out. And I'm with you, Mel. It's about what he does in life, much less the fact that he's not able to salvage a career. And indeed, it is a privilege. You guys have been talking about Colin Kaepernick for a moment. So, Mel, this question is probably more directed to you, I think. So, Colin Kaepernick had an opportunity to try out, but then changed venues at the last moment, and they had it all worked out. What do you think that that's led to a lack of interest, knowing that the NFL was looking for a window to bring him back in, or do you think he had a valid point changing the location at the last minute where nobody could see? That's the thing that I'm kind of mind-boggled.
Yeah, first of all, the NFL, you had them work out on a Saturday or something like that. Typical workouts are on a Tuesdays. They're going to do something so that all the teams can be a part of it. Nobody's working on a Tuesday. They had them doing it on a Saturday. People are getting prepared for games and stuff of that and things of that nature. It wasn't a real opportunity. It was really for publicity, for NFL saying, hey, Colin was making a lot of noise saying, I'm working out, I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. And then, people were starting to say, hey, Roger, probably whispering in his ear, and they wanted to throw out this olive branch, which really wasn't an olive branch. It was just a BS publicity stunt on the part of the NFL. It was never really a legitimate opportunity. Okay. That's my opinion.
Well, no, and that's why I'm asking you this, because obviously, you played in the league. Rick, do you want to chime in on that too? I think Mel's nailed it right on the head.
Oh, I totally agree with them. I mean, if they really wanted Colin Kaepernick, they would have invited him to a private workout and trained him over there. They would have had this where he was at a high school football field and have like representatives instead of like the owners being there. So I agree. I think of the NFL to say, see, we're trying to give him a chance. We're going to give him an opportunity. We're not blackballing him. There's not a conspiracy to get rid of him. And see, we give him a shot, and it didn't work out, so we moved on. So I totally agree. I just think it was a bunch of BS by the NFL to show people that, see, we're not hypocrites. See, we're okay with someone who's doing a political stance, and forget about all the, people that we get that beat up women or do domestic violence. So we tried to give him a chance, didn't work out, and we had some representatives there, and he just didn't pan out. So I just think it was sort of like a weak effort and some PR on the NFL to make themselves look better.
All right, well, we just got off of Michael Jordan's documentary, The Last Dance. Thank God, good riddance. I've never said good riddance to any programs at all. But now news comes out that Tom Brady and ESPN are looking to release a 9-part documentary series in 2021. All right, Mr. Curti, I'll let you lead off with this one.
Oh man, I'm just getting so tired of these things. I mean, we all know Jordan won. We all know he's the best. Was there like a cliffhanger? Was it something like we were gonna miss from the Jordan documentary? So now we're gonna do about Tom Brady. I guess we're gonna follow him around in his house, or gonna follow him around the practice field and stuff like that. And it's a 9-parter. I mean, really, does that have to be a 9-parter? So I didn't even watch the Jordan thing, to be quite honest with you, and I'm probably not going to watch the Tom Brady one. So I'm getting kind of tired of all that stuff, and so I'm ready to see some sports if we do get sports this year. But enough of the documentaries and following around people.
Yeah, I don't know, Mel. What do you think? I got turned off by it. The only time that I actually went ahead and watched it was episodes 3 and 4. But other than that, I was pretty turned off about it as well. Mel, what's your take on it?
I didn't miss the show. It was must-see TV for me. I think as an athlete, you look at it and you have a great appreciation for greatness. And I think for the regular fan, they have an opportunity to maybe perhaps get a behind-the-scenes look at Michael Jordan, the man, versus Michael Jordan, the supreme basketball player that he was. And because a lot of times when you're doing interviews, you really don't get too much. They don't give you too much. I think in the interview, he did open up, and I think you got to see a side of Michael, and you got to see his competitive nature. I mean, how competitive this guy was, and how he wanted to win. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. I can't say I'm going to watch Tom Brady's documentary, but I probably will, just to get a little glimpse of it. If it's too cheesy, I won't watch it.
Right.
I didn't watch his little Facebook thing that he had with, I didn't watch that thing. When they get to be too cheesy, I don't want to. I don't particularly care for all that. But I thought the Michael Jordan documentary was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't watch any of the pundits talk about it after the fact. I just took it for what it was, and it was television and it was entertaining. I got an opportunity to go back in time to our bad boy Pistons and see Isaiah on there and talk. And the funny thing is, on Sunday after that aired, and they were talking about the Davis twins, Dale Davis and Anthony Davis. I went into the gas station, I think it was Monday night. Monday night, I went to the gas station, and lo and behold, there's Dale Davis in there.
Wow. Wow.
And I said, wow. And I said, I didn't realize you lived out here. He said, yeah, I live out here. So I said, man, look here, man, you were trouble in the paint. There's no question about it. And I told him how I went to school with Reggie and all that other kind of stuff. So we talked for about a couple minutes while we were in the gas station. But it was kind of funny, man. All of a sudden, I see Dale Davis in the gas station about 12:30 at night. Yeah,
my issue with the Jordan was not only did he control all the content, but I think he stepped on a lot of toes with the whole thing too. Whether it was Isaiah, whether it was Malone, and he, I had a problem with that. So many people that some of his teammates, like Horace Grant, was offended by it. Craig Hodges, Scottie Pippen, the guy who can't stand, but I respect what he. If you don't go out there and burn bridges and offend people, it's one thing. But to use this as an opportunity to say, yeah, we know you're ultra competitive, we know you're a tremendous player, but you constantly say negative things about individuals for whom you competed against. That's where I really got tired of it, because I love Michael Jordan, the player. I became more detested with Michael Jordan, the person. Tom Brady would be interesting, though. I don't know how many players he would really throw under the bus. If there's going to be any type of negative connotation, would it be at Bill Belichick? I don't see him doing it with Robert Kraft, whether it be with his coordinators. I don't know. I don't know how much negativity will come out of Tom Brady. So, hey, I know that he's a Michigan guy. So, and hey, let's not kid ourselves. The Michigan man has more Super Bowls than any other collegiate quarterback, and of course, Michigan still has the all-time wins list. So he's definitely the pride of joy of Wolverines land, that's for sure. But I don't think it'll be as bad. But I'm not into 9-part documentaries for which you can do them in 2 to 4 shows, unless ESPN is that desperate for programming. I don't know. I'm not in favor of this, but who's making the decisions over in Bristol, Connecticut? It's anybody's guess. So, all right. Well, I've got an interesting one here, guys. I'm going to try to pronounce the first name better. Talia Tagovailoa, and I hope I'm right, is transferring to the University of Maryland with Coach Michael Locksley. And Locksley spent 3 seasons on Alabama's coaching staff from 2016 to 18. The Terps were 3-9 in 2019. Do you see this as a big signing, Mel, for Maryland, since they've been at the bottom of the Big Ten since practically their inception into the Big Ten?
Yeah, without question. I mean, he probably had a hard time playing in Alabama, following behind his brother's footsteps, constantly having the comparisons to his brother all the time brought up. So, I mean, I think it was good for the player for him to move on somewhere else, go to a school, go to somebody that he's familiar with and that's familiar with him and his skill set, and to be able to get the best out of him and not have that constant comparison to his brother. Some people can't deal with that kind of pressure. And he just might be one of those kind of kids that couldn't deal. I thought he was going to go to South Florida because it seemed like, the parents always moved. The parents moved out here when Tua came out here from Hawaii, and then he got drafted by Miami. So I just figured he was going to go down to South Florida so they could all be together. But for him to go out on his own up there in Maryland, I think that's good. And, I'm happy for Maryland. My daughter is a graduate of Maryland, so I'm looking forward to Maryland do something here, or doing something here exciting in the Big Ten. I mean, obviously it's going to be very, very difficult with the teams that they have to play. But, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's good for the kid and get a fresh opportunity. Hopefully he can play immediately, get a waiver and have an opportunity to play immediately. But if not, they'll have to sit out a year and then come back, learn that system and come back strong and compete for a job in 2021.
Okay, Rick?
Yeah, I think it was great for him to move on. He definitely couldn't go to Alabama. I mean, you'd be compared like, your brother was this, your brother was that. He wants to create his own identity. He doesn't want to be compared to his brother, even though he probably will be in his career. And it's a good signing for Maryland. They need a big name star. They've been kind of like, one of those schools that have been like, you don't hear much about them, but then you kind of do hear about them, but then you don't. So they needed a big name, and I think it's great for both the school, and I think it's great for him as well. And like I said, you don't want to be compared to your brother all the time. I remember going to school when I went to junior high school, and everybody always compared me, hey, your brother was here, your brother was there, and you get tired of it. I'm like, I'm not my brother. I had at one point where my teacher actually called me by my brother's name. So I know how that's like. It's frustrating, and you just want to be your own person and create your own identity, and that's what he wants to do. So I applaud him for him doing that.
Well, I got to tell you also about Maryland. Everybody knows that the Maryland Terrapins have been really good in basketball in the Big Ten. But let's not forget that Boomer Esiason and I believe Frank Reich also went to Maryland, right, Mal?
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
Right, so therefore, there's a couple of quarterbacks way back in the day that played well. I see this is a good opportunity for Tua's little brother. Why not? It'll be interesting to see how competitive they are, but this is only a move which unfortunately was saddled by the scandal because of what DJ Durkin did with all that baloney. But I think this is a step in the right direction for the Terps. And I hope Tua's younger brother does pretty well up there. Now, I'm bringing this up here because you want to talk about the insanity of college football. I'm going to give you guys something that takes it to a brand new level. You ready for this? Okay?
Yep.
Alabama and Arizona have agreed to a series that will play in 2032 and 2033. Where do you guys think you're going to be in 2032 and 2033?
I hope I'll still be here.
Me too. What about you, Curti?
Yeah, I hope I'll still be here. Beyond that, I can't tell you anything.
So, Mel, is it insane to schedule a series this far ahead? 2032 and 2033. What are we in 2020? That's 12, 13 years from now.
Yeah, to me it is, but I mean, you see more and more of it. That teams are scheduling things. And I know UCLA had scheduled to play somebody. I don't know, it was Michigan or somebody. Way out in advance. I mean, I can't even think that far. I mean, I'm trying to deal with what I have to deal with today,
right?
And let alone what I have to deal with tomorrow. And God forbid, what's going on 10, 15 years from now. So yeah, that's really strange to me. But that's just the way college football is right now. You try to get some of the people want to see these big games. They want to see. I don't know maybe what Arizona State's motive is for wanting to do this. Maybe Herm thinks he'll still be around then, and he wants to play Alabama.
This is the University of Arizona, Mel. The Wildcats.
Oh, I'm sorry, University of Arizona.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
no big deal.
It was Rich Rodriguez. So, man, I don't know.
No, actually, he's out of there, too.
I can't imagine what these guys want to do.
Oh, don't worry about Mel. No, this is the University of Arizona. I think Kevin Sumlin is the head coach there. No big deal. The whole point of this thing here is really mainly about scheduling 12 years. And I can tell you one thing, guys. I'll be 70 years old when this game happens, God willing. So it wouldn't matter if it were Herman Edwards, Kevin Sumlin. It wouldn't matter if it were Charlie Weiss's son or whoever comes into play. Alabama and Arizona to me in 2032, 23, it don't make any difference. That's a long time to schedule out, Mel.
They can sell it to the recruits that year.
Yeah, right.
They're going to be playing Alabama.
Well, I'd like to let's have a prediction within a prediction. Okay, where is Alabama? Who will be their coach in 2032? You think Nick Saban will be around? Is it Bear Bryant's grandson, if he has any, or great grandson?
He does have a grandson or something playing somewhere, doesn't he?
I don't know. I'm asking
Alabama, isn't he?
I'm being satiristic, by the way, Mel. Yeah,
I understand, but I have no idea. Heck, it could be my grandson over there.
Exactly. That's my point, Mel. Come on, really.
I don't have a clue. I mean, everybody that's in place right now, none of them will be there. Some of us won't even be here with us, unfortunately.
Well, no, that's true.
To me, that's just crazy.
I know. That's why I brought it up. I needed to give you guys something to laugh at tonight before we have our Memorial Day. So I thought that we would memorize. This will be a broadcast to remember, okay, here on Memorial Day, although not quite the same meaning, of Alabama, Arizona, 12, 13 years from now. Hey, come on. We can't keep it always too serious, right, Mel?
Look forward to it. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that game.
Hey, yeah. Okay, what kind of TVs are they going to have back then?
Wow, it might be virtual reality. We might be able to sit in the stands with some glasses on. I don't know. Who knows?
Hey Mel, when I bring a subject like this up to you, okay, and we know as friends, all three of us are friends. What do you think I'm really trying to get out of all this?
We're bringing up a subject like this.
Yeah.
Just to see how ridiculous we can respond to you.
Exactly. There you go. Mr. Farr just scored a touchdown on this, okay? Now, maybe we can title it Back to the Future. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
All right, there's a Back to the Future reference here on the Sports Exchange, and that Back to the Future 2032 and 2033 will be, who will the governors be from that state? How many governors will they have on that state? Who will be the coaches? And you know what? Will there be a great-grandson? I don't know. I guess it's one of those things, guys, that we'll just let the imaginations run amok. Curti, some thoughts about this insanity?
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea Arizona and Alabama were a rivalry. Who knew?
Well,
and, I mean, what's the hurry, guys? I mean, come on. I mean, none of the coaches will be there. I mean, the athletic director probably won't be there. And if I can make a bold prediction, I think Dabo Swinney will be the head coach of Alabama sometime in the future. He actually went to that's his alma mater, so I think you might see Dabo Swinney as a new head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, so once Saban's gone, so maybe he'll be the head coach there. Who knows? But I don't think Kevin Sumlin will be there, and I don't think Rich Rodriguez or anybody who they get there. I mean, they can get Chichi Rodriguez. It doesn't matter. So to me, it's comical. It's insanity. It's crazy. And I guess in 13 years, I mean, hopefully I'll still be on your show, Scott, and we can talk about it. But I mean, right now it's kind of ridiculous, and not really looking forward to seeing Arizona versus Alabama. I just don't see that as another Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. So I think it's kind of idiotic, but that's the craziness of college sports.
Not with Arizona's history, but that's for another day. Although many years ago when I lived in Phoenix, I did see 3 Wildcats games, and there was a guy, I'm trying to remember the running back, but he was a pretty exceptional running back. I'm sure he'll come. But I will make one prediction about that we're going to see the iPhone 33, okay?
Yep.
What do you think? iPhone 33.
That'll be certain. That'll be for certain.
Yeah, the iPhone 33 is what we'll probably see. But yeah, Arizona's, again, it's great to have fun with this sort of thing. Hopefully I'll go ahead and come up with the name of that running back that I saw many years ago, but then again, he wasn't good enough to make it through his college career, so it doesn't really matter. But when I saw the guy play, he did remind me a little bit of Barry Sanders, but he had a great game, and at that time, the coach of that team was John Makovic. And I know, Mel, you've heard of John Makovic. He was running the Wildcat program back then, so...
Yeah, Arizona was always a tough out. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah?
That was not a team that we look forward to playing. I mean, they hit. And they had some big old linebackers. They had Chuck Cecil back there.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest hit I've ever had in college football when I played Arizona. Me and my buddy, they used to tell us that the hardest hit that you get in college is the average hit that you get in the NFL. And me and my buddy Gaston Green, who was drafted by the Rams too, the first round. He said, man, if that's the case, man, I don't want to play in the NFL because, man, these guys hit hard.
Actually, you know who that running back was? It just came to me. His name was Clarence Farmer, who was the running back. And I'll tell you, it got off to a good start, saw some great performances when I was there. I saw a game with Oregon who had Joey Harrington against the Wildcats, and Joey had over 500 yards. Funny story about that is I took the play-by-play, gave it to my buddy Bill Keenis, and I guess I'm 0 for 1 when it comes to giving advice in the personnel department because we know how it worked out with Joey and Detroit, but Clarence Farmer was the running back that stood out. So, all right, glad I got that one out of the way. Got another interesting series, but it'll happen a whole lot sooner than that. USC against Ole Miss will have a home-and-home series in 2025 and 26. Lane Kiffin's Revenge Series. All right, Mel, you're a guy that resided in Southern California, albeit with UCLA. What do you think about the Lane Kiffin's Revenge Series? Since he got fired unceremoniously.
I'm sure Lane's going to be real excited about that. He's going to be real fired up for that, and I'm sure it's going to be a very good football game.
Well, he scheduled it.
It may not be very good for SC fans, depending on who's going to be coaching there, right. Because right now they're on a downward trajectory, just like UCLA's program is.
Right.
So it's not that they haven't had very much success there as of late. The fan base is not real happy right now. That could get ugly quick. I mean, that could get real ugly. And I'm sure that that Lane is chomping at the bit and can't wait. As long as he's still the coach, I know he can't wait to get out there.
Yeah, I think he'll
get after it and give USC the middle finger.
Yeah, well, that's being nice. I think if anybody would run up the score in those two games, you nailed it there, Mel. Lane Kiffin is looking to run up the score, and I think he was flabbergasted and thrilled and ecstatic to be able to schedule this series, and I'm actually surprised USC took it. But then again, why not? What do you got to lose? Because remember, you have two Power 5 schools playing one another in the Pac-12 and the SEC, so it's a good matchup between those two conferences. Rick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting one right here. Lane Kiffin, I'm sure he's still bitter about getting fired from USC after he just bolted Tennessee and went there. And so, I know the Tennessee fans were happy to see him get fired. And, it is what it is. That's how it is. And, speaking about being fired, you got Paul, you got Clay Helton there. And he's another guy that people are just shaking their head like, how in the world does this guy still have a job? So it's going to be an interesting matchup. And I know he's looking forward to it, Lane Kiffin. And, and I think they'll probably just annihilate them, because USC is just they're not very good. And the fan base is not happy, and and I'm always shaking my head, always wondering how in the world does Clay Helton still have a job. So, it'll be a very curious match. It'll be an interesting match. I'll probably watch the game. It sounds sounds fun to me. So we'll see what happens. But it doesn't be more like a USC fight more than a football game, because I just think he's going to go out there and just let it go. And hey, if we're up by 2 or 3 touchdowns, just keep running up the score, and have fun with it. So we might have some nice little jab talking with Clay Helton and Lane Kiffin. So that's actually a pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing that game.
Hey, listen, I predict we'll be up to the iPhone 19, iPhone 20 by then. Why not? Hey, let me know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Hey, and listen, Curti got into a boxing match earlier this week. Rick, why don't you tell him the boxing match you got into earlier in the week?
Yeah, I'm talking to this young kid, a great guy. He's very, very knowledgeable about boxing, and we just talked about boxing, and it just reminded me when I used to love watching boxing, getting all those pay-per-views, seeing Holyfield and Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez and Pernell Whitaker and, all these great fighters, and it was fun, and hopefully we can make a comeback in boxing again. So I had a lot of fun doing that. So, I did some jabbing, I did some moving, and I did a little bit of rope-a-dope, but we had a great time.
So, Mel, what I should say now is you're next in line for Zach Hirsch, okay, outside of Curti. And since you told me last week you like boxing, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm a huge boxing fan.
Well, I won't call myself Dana White, but I'm looking to make that match happen with Mel Farr and Zach Hirsch. Of course, Curti's going to have a trilogy with the guy, so try to keep it real. But don't worry, Mel, I got you in mind. I'm the best agent you can have when it comes to all these big mega events that we got planned here on the Sports Exchange and the WSAN network. So I don't know if Mel realizes, but we made a major change this week that we are now on the WSAN network, which stands for World Sports and News Network. So, Mel, part of the evolving process of what we're doing here. And our last note of the night is Ohio State AD Gene Smith is not 100% comfortable yet with playing football in 2020. Well, you guys have been talking about it all along, okay? So I'll lead off with you, Rick, and then Mel can proceed after that.
Well, I've been saying this for many months, and I've been getting bashed by people on social media about, I'll bet you we're going to have football. And, I agree. I mean, I'm not going to go to a game. If they opened up like baseball right now and said, okay, we're all good now, we're going to have some baseball games, I'm not going. I'm probably not going to go till 2021. So I totally understand how he feels. It's just up in the air. Kurt Herbstreit got absolutely in trouble by ESPN when he said he'd be shocked to see any NFL college games, and then unfortunately he came back and kind of had to do the backtracking, and people criticized him for flip-flopping, and he wasn't flip-flopping. It was just that his bosses told him, don't be saying that.
Yeah, well,
since you're on the sports network, don't be telling people that we're not going to have football, or you're going to be shocked to see football, even though he was telling the truth, and I totally agree with him. So I felt bad for Kurt Herbstreit in that part. So I totally understand how he feels, and if they open up games, and invite fans, I'm probably not going to go. Just watch it at home or download it on my phone or something like that. So I totally agree with what he said, and I totally understand his concern.
Mel, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, more and more we've talked about this. Rick has been saying this from the beginning. I was a little bit more optimistic. But, as days go by, and I don't know how you can do it. I mean, we aren't any closer today than we were when this whole pandemic broke. We're no closer to finding a resolution. And our leadership here in this country has not been that great. You can't have college institutions taking a lead on this here. This lead needs to come from the federal government. We need to have direction from the federal government about how we're going to proceed. And I don't think anything is going to change until we have a vaccine, because I just don't know how you can keep people safe. I don't know how you can keep 22 grown men on a football field, keep them safe, not just in the game, but in practice. There's so much physical contact in the football game. How can you keep people safe? I mean, you're putting a mask on. You can't breathe with a mask on. How are you going to play with a mask on? I can't breathe when I have a mask on. It's hard. It's hard for me to keep a mask on. How are guys going to play? I know they're trying to come up with this helmet, this face mask that has some kind of mask protection or something like that. I don't know how you're going to breathe in one of those things. So, as I don't see, if kids don't go back to school, I don't see how you can play football. And there's, every state is something different. I see South Carolina, they're going to go to school, but they're going to end the school early. They're going to, all the kids are going to go home before, right at Thanksgiving break. Notre Dame, they're going to go to school. They're doing it. Arizona State, they're going to school, but Cal State schools, they're not going to school. So Georgia, they haven't made a determination yet. Although I heard them, with our governor, they're probably going to have classes, but. I don't know how it's going to work when you have some schools open for students and some schools not open for students. I don't know how it's going to work.
I'll just say this. ESPN dumb enough to let Kurt Herbstreit go. there will be no shortage of suitors, and ESPN can't land any decent talent to begin with. They're losing quality talent to begin with. So even though Rick is right, okay, he was telling the truth, ESPN's hurting in the pocketbook for content, and I can understand them telling him to back off, but I think Kirk was definitely in line by going out there and saying, this is what I think. And you know what? He only did what he had to do because the employers, but Kirk Herbstreit will have more offers than you can, in the amount of time that you can snap your finger. So, guys, great broadcast tonight. I know we had a little bit of fun with certain topics tonight. I try to keep them real, and one of the things we're going to always remember about, at least I will be Back to the Future and the iPhone 33. You guys will certainly have a few things that you'll be able to remember as well. With that said, Rick, Curti, you lead off about how people get a hold of you. Mel, you do the same thing, and then I'll close it out with what we've got to go. And then we're going to look forward to our Memorial Day weekend. Just so you know, fans, we'll be out there. We'll be back on the air in a couple of weeks. My wife and I are taking next week off for Memorial Day weekend anyhow, but we'll still be active on social media for any feedback. With that said, Rick, go ahead.
Well, you can contact us on our website at www.charlottebats.com. I have an email address at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. That's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curti. On Facebook, we have a group page called Charlotte MLB. We also have another page called Charlotte Bats Baseball. We're also on Instagram at Charlotte Bats, and we're also on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. And or my personal account, Rick Curti. You can contact me on any of those social media networks. And if you have any comments or questions about this broadcast or anything, just email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
Okay, Mel, you're next.
Yeah, I can be reached at melfarjr@gmail.com. Any one of the social networks at Melfar Jr. We have a website. You can find out what we're doing at melfar.org. And again, if you have any questions or comments, just feel free to reach out to me at any one of those, and I'll be more than happy to get back with you.
Sounds good, and I'll give you the amount of information that we have because we have a lot of it. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Scoop, SCOOP 33333. That amount of threes equals 5 of them. And if you want something easier, then go to @Tribune South, and then you can follow us on either or, and then we'll follow you back. On Facebook, I love to talk about hat tricks because South Florida Tribune, you can follow us there. And like the page, you'll get all the updates that we provide about the broadcast, any potential stories that we put up there. So Facebook, South Florida Tribune, gets it done. Instagram, South Florida Tribune, just go ahead and like us there. And YouTube channel, you got it, South Florida Tribune. The website's www.southfloridatribune.com. You'll find all the broadcasts up there as well, including all the content from all of our contributors, both the writers as well as our media distribution partners. And let me tell you, folks, that's a chore for me to make sure that I get it up there, but I think everything that we get, we're appreciative of it, and we like to share it with everybody around the country and the world. You can email us your thoughts at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. LinkedIn, you can find me, Scott Morganroth. I'll be more than happy to connect. And as far as our shows, Mel, learning about it for the first time, World Sports and News equals WSAN Network. The broadcast that we have on here is the Sports Exchange, the one that you are listening to right now. We had one on earlier tonight, the South Florida Tribune podcast. We had a guy talking Veterans Medicare named Colin Wright, did an exceptional job, and we definitely are excited about what we're going to do on a local end. We have a baseball show strictly dedicated to that sport called 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Another one called The Real and the Rare by Xavier McKnight and myself. Fantasy Football, Scott and Ryan Schoolrood, Motorman and Root Dog. And then, Mel, here's a new one for you. I don't know if you caught it on social media, but now you're going to get it firsthand. We have a national show called No Limits. What do you think of that? No Limits, Mel.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, you'll have an opportunity to get on that one down the road. We'll figure that one out. And I guarantee you, folks, No Limits will definitely live up to its name. We'll make sure about that. Just so you know, these broadcasts can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Podcast Addict, Deezer, and Podchaser. So anywhere you can get these broadcasts, feel free to do it. You can probably get it on iTunes as well. And I got to tell you guys are a fantastic pair to work with. Always enjoy these broadcasts. I hope that everybody is out there. I know things are starting to gradually open up there, but regardless of what opens up quickly, you got to be safe, still maintain social distancing, stay at home if you can, and use common sense, and kudos to our first responders and our frontliners. We hope that we've done a good enough job providing you with good entertainment so that you can take away the entertainment value of what we try to do. We work very hard to make sure that you have the best entertainment. Any closing thoughts, Rick?
No, I'm just really glad to be on here, and especially with you guys. You guys are great, and I love what's going on with our podcast, and congratulations on the WSAN network. I'm very proud to be part of it, and I look forward to doing these interviews 2 or 3 times a week.
Don't worry, you'll get that opportunity. Mel, what do you think?
Hey, I just wanted to say one thing real quick. Just want to let you guys know I have my second little grandson. He was born on Monday. He was 6 pounds, 14 ounces, cute little guy. He's going to be the first pick of the 2037 MLB draft. He, a left-handed starting pitcher, so he has to play about, every 4 or 5 days, man. He'll probably be about 6'4", 6'5", and he'll be a left-handed starting pitcher either for the Yankees or the Dodgers 2037 draft.
Congratulations, Mel. I swear to God.
Looking forward in the future.
Well, let me tell you, Mel, your sense of humor is taking some big-time heights tonight. Well, if you're going to give an endorsement there, I'm going to give an endorsement as well. I have a young nephew named Slate Shifko, and I'm going to tell you, this kid here put my niece in labor for the better part of 35-plus hours until they had to do the C-section thing. And I'll tell you what, he's been around 8 or 9 months. I was telling my niece, Brooke Shifko, that my little guy isn't so little anymore. I said, Brooke, this kid skipped the small stage, and I think that he's actually going to play hockey, or he'll probably play basketball for the Detroit Pistons, and probably in the year 2040. So I'm glad that we're going to title this broadcast a Back to the Future theme tonight, because let me tell you, guys, we really nailed it in a lot of ways. And Mel, with all due respect, okay, congratulations on the grandson. We're very happy for you. You deserve nothing but the best joy you can get. And I'll tell you what, Mel, from my heart to your ears and Rick's, you're an absolute joy to work with. And there's only 2 words that describe you, Mel. You're a class act.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are proud to have you.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
So meanwhile, on behalf of Rick Curti and Mel Farr, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Madmouth, wishing everybody a happy Memorial Day weekend. And we will see you in about 2 weeks. Enjoy, folks. And once again, have a great Memorial Day weekend. Bye-bye.